phone.
It's moving.
Good enough.
Take
What
me
you got?
to your leader. Oh, hell no. Yo, we got aliens out here, dog.
My phone camera says
Yo, it's f***ing weird.
we got UFOs outside.
Yo, hey, everyone's out here.
These are U.S. Marines. They're among their buddies. They're the toughest guys in the world. And it's kind of, sort of, you can sense a little bravado there. You know, it's aliens, and I'm not afraid of it kind of implied thing.
All right, take a look at this next video. Could this really be a mass UFO sighting over a military base in California? They described seeing a triangular formation of lights hovering above the Marine Corps base.
If you look in the picture, you can see like a black triangular shape.
Why are these not flares?
Because they stayed there for a solid 10 minutes, just in the same spot.
And flares don't sit in one spot for 10 minutes?
No, they fall.
What was the shift? And how did you feel about UFOs, say like 10, 15 years ago?
Well, there is this giggle factor, and it's the third rail, of course, of your scientific reputation, if you believe in these things. But the evidence is accumulating over the last several years.
Show the pictures of the UFO. These guys, 50 guys observed this thing. Corbell, dang, I'm trying to process everything.
He can't help himself.
Corbell chili. Animal. That just came out like a day ago. I think
those lights
on
above that house?
Instagram.
That's definitely it.
Check his Instagram.
Cardi B shows off daughter's school lunch.
Whatever this thing is, they've
This?
got 50 different people. I think he actually released photos of it.
Oh, pull it up.
If you got
Fair,
the really
fair,
good
fair.
evidence, then you would be all in.
Fair.
I don't want to be all in. I like to be like half in.
Hey, look at that background.
I
Looks
think
like he's here.
that's it. Where you see weaponized. That's the craft. That's it. So okay, so it's a video. So this thing, what this thing is, they photographed it. It's half of a football field size, and it was hovering over this military base, and then it just disappeared, just jetted off.
Interesting.
50 people saw it.
50?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Some military guys.
Who are these people?
It's the whole thing it's the most exciting thing to me. It's the most fun. Out of all the stupid shit that I like to concentrate on,
You'd think they would have been here by
illuminate
now.
the crap, but when the flares got close, the UFO vanished into thin air. So they shot flares at it.
That's probably just a jetliner.
But
I mean, look at that.
why would
That's
it
the
vanish in the thin air?
landing
Why would it
hovers.
vanish in the thin air? Only
Well, it
magic
just went
does that.
further away.
They used magic.
Oh, what?
I'm telling you, that's nothing.
I mean,
vanished into thin air.
Ah, you're dreaming.
What was the shift? And how did you feel about UFOs, say like 10, 15 years ago?
Well, there is this giggle factor, and it's the third rail, of course, of your scientific reputation, if you believe in these things. But the evidence is accumulating over the last several years. Now, when I was first approached by Carolyn Corey, the producer of this film, A Tear in the Sky, I was skeptical. I said to myself, come on. I mean, 5 days? 5 days you're going to look for flying saucers in the sky? What happens if the aliens are camera shy and they don't show up in 5 days? So I was pleasantly surprised when they actually found something. They actually have photographic evidence of objects that can gyrate just the way the Pentagon has said. And so we now have a sea change. A center of gravity has changed with regards to looking at these objects. We no longer simply look at one individual seeing something in the sky. No, we demand hours of videotape, multiple sightings by multiple modes. That's the gold standard now.
Angela Hill, who's a UFC fighter, I had her on the podcast, and after the show, she told me her grandpa was Barney Hill.
Whoa.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like, we didn't talk about it during the show, but she wanted to bring it up because she knows I'm kind of obsessed with UFOs. But the account that they have, like, they get hypnotized and he's recalling the abduction, and they have like the same story. It's very terrifying. You hear him crying and screaming, and you know that he was taken aboard this craft and examined and brought back, and they have missing time. But here's the thing. If they only did that occasionally, They only came down once every few years and just scooped some person up in the middle of some rural place. Like if you're flying over, I think their instance was I believe it was in Maine. If you're flying over somewhere like Maine, which is a very low population state, and you see a lone car, and it's just traveling along the highway, and there's places in Maine where you go from like Portland to Bangor. When you're traveling on that road, it's like 60 miles with nothing, not a gas station, nothing. If you were an alien and you saw a car by itself, you're like, no other cars, move in, we got one.
Isn't it just easier to think it's the U.S. government?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't have the capability of doing something like that.
The burden of proof has shifted. It used to be the burden of proof was on the people who believed in UFOs. They saw something, prove it. Now the burden of proof has shifted to the Pentagon, to the military. Now they have to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And so I think there's been a sea change in the last just several years. 50 years ago, there was a congressional hearing, and it was coming out of Project Blue Book. And there was a lot of laughter and a lot of jokes about little green men in outer space. 50 years ago, that's the way it was. Now, things have changed. Now people are looking at are they a threat militarily? What kinds of sensors do we have? What kind of metrics do we have? We now have, frame by frame, an analysis of these objects. These objects travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. That's 20 times the speed of sound. These objects can zigzag, and we can measure the G-force inside this object. The G-forces are several hundred times the force of gravity. In other words, any living person's bones would be crushed by these objects, so they're probably drones of some sort. These objects can drop 70,000 feet in a few seconds.
Is it amazing to you, as somebody who spent so long thinking about otherworldly visitors, that now they're releasing all this information and no one really cares?
Well, the world is in such chaos.
No
now.
one cares.
No one cares.
I couldn't
if
care
this
less.
happened during the middle of the Obama administration when everything was going great, it would be giant news.
And what is the news even, that the Pentagon just can't account for all these unidentified flying objects?
Yeah, they don't know what they are.
Okay.
There's some of them that could easily be drones because they're not moving at spectacular speeds.
Right.
They're just sort of like hovering over aircraft carriers. Those could be drones. They could be some new style of drone or some new kind of technology that maybe some foreign government has. But there's other ones that were spotted by Air Force pilots and then tracked, and they have detailed data on the speed of these things. They have video of these things going what appears to be thousands of miles an hour, instantaneously accelerating with no visible propulsion system, no heat signature. They don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah.